Every person dreams of a better life, more success, more peace, more meaning. Yet few ever achieve it. Not because they don't want it, but because they refuse to let go of who they used to be. The truth is simple yet brutal. You cannot become someone new while clinging to the habits, thoughts, and fears of the old you. The person you are today has brought you to this exact point. No further. And if you wish to go beyond, if you wish to rise, then that version of you must die. Every great change in life demands a death, the death of comfort, of excuses, of small thinking. We cannot step into tomorrow with yesterday's mindset. The old you, the one that doubts, complains, procrastinates, fears rejection, is the very wall standing between your potential and your reality. So the question isn't whether you can rise, but whether you're willing to let go of what's holding you down. You see, change never begins outside of us. It begins in the quiet corners of the mind. You must examine your thoughts, your routines, your circle of influence, and ask, do these belong to the person I want to become? If not, then cut them loose. The world doesn't reward intention, it rewards transformation. We often say, I'll start when I feel ready. But the truth is, you will never feel ready to kill the old you, because that old self is comfortable. It knows your patterns, your fears, your shortcuts. It whispers, stay here, it's safe. But nothing grows in safety. Growth is born in discomfort, in shedding the familiar, in walking through fear towards something greater. The moment you let go of the old version of yourself, you will feel something remarkable. A sense of clarity, purpose, and freedom. You'll start acting differently. You'll think differently. You'll attract different results because you are different. It's like a snake shedding its skin. Painful perhaps, but necessary. You cannot wear the past and expect to enter the future. Remember, every new chapter of your life will demand a new version of you. If you want more, become more. If you want success, think successfully. If you want peace, release what disturbs your mind. The old you had reasons. The new you has results. The old you hesitated. The new you acts. The old you survive. The new you rises. So today, don't ask how to rise. Ask what must die within you first. You can't become new while staying the same. That's the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. They want to rise higher. They want success, freedom, peace, and purpose. But they want all of that while holding on to the habits, thoughts, and routines that keep them exactly where they are. They want transformation without sacrifice. But the law of life doesn't work that way. Change demands a price, and that price is the old you. The person you are right now has created the life you live right now. Every thought, every decision, every action has shaped your current reality, so if you want a different outcome, you can't keep being the same person. You can't hold on to the same excuses, the same fears, the same patterns of comfort and expect something extraordinary to happen. The old you is the architect of your limitations. The new you must be the designer of your potential. Most people never make this transition because they are loyal to their old identity. They cling to who they've always been, their story, their labels, their past mistakes, and they mistake that for truth. They say things like, that's just who I am, without realizing that who you are is just a collection of repeated thoughts and habits that can be changed at any time. You are not fixed. You are fluid. But to rise, you must allow yourself to dissolve and reform. It's uncomfortable to let go of who you used to be. The old you is familiar, predictable, safe. It has built walls around your mind, convincing you that staying the same protects you from pain. But those walls also protect you from progress. Every time you try to rise, that old self whispers, you can't. You've tried before. You'll fail again. And so, most people surrender to the voice of comfort instead of the call of growth. But real change begins when you silence that voice and take the first step into uncertainty. Transformation doesn't begin when you get a new job, move to a new city, or start a new project. It begins the moment you change your mind about who you are. The moment you say, I'm done living like this, and mean it. You start replacing hesitation with action, doubt with faith, distraction with focus. You start saying no to the things that keep you average. That's when the old version of you starts to lose power. It begins to die because you've stopped feeding it with your attention. The process is not easy. The old self will resist. It will fight for survival. It will tempt you back into old patterns, remind you of your failures, surround you with people who want you to stay the same. But you must remember, the struggle is proof that the transformation is real. Growth feels like loss at first because you're shedding the parts of yourself that no longer belong in your future. Every breakthrough requires a breakdown. You can't reach a higher level of life while dragging the weight of your old identity. You can't enter a new chapter carrying the pain, ego, and fear of the past one. To rise, you must release. You must step into the unknown without dragging yesterday's shadows along. The old you doesn't fit where you're going. It's like burning a bridge behind you. Once it's gone, there's no going back. You're forced to move forward, to adapt, to grow. That's when you start to discover strength you didn't know you had. You begin to realize that every limitation you once believed in was just a reflection of your old self's fears. The more distance you create from that version, the lighter you become, the clearer your vision grows, and the faster you rise. You can't become new while staying the same, because life rewards courage, not comfort. The moment you decide to release the old you, your doubts, your patterns, your excuses, you create space for the new you to emerge. And it's in that space, that quiet moment of surrender and decision, that transformation begins to take root. Your current self has reached its limit. Everything you are right now, your habits, thoughts, beliefs, routines, and standards, has brought you as far as it can. It's the peak of what your current mindset is capable of producing. If you desire more success, more fulfillment, more clarity, then you cannot rely on the same version of yourself that created your current results. The same thinking that built this chapter cannot build the next one. You've simply reached the ceiling of the person you are, and the only way to rise higher is to outgrow yourself. It's not a punishment, it's a law of life. Growth requires new energy, new understanding, and new behavior. The person you are right now was built from years of conditioning. Habits that became automatic, beliefs that went unchallenged, fears that went unexamined. These invisible patterns run your life like a script, and as long as you keep reading from the same script, you'll keep playing the same role. You'll keep experiencing the same story. That's why so many people live the same year over and over again, calling it a life. They haven't changed the author. They're still living from the old self that refuses to evolve. The limit isn't outside of you. It's not your circumstances. It's not luck. It's not opportunity. The limit is internal. It's the belief of what you think you're capable of. It's the discipline you've developed, the standards you tolerate, and the comfort zone you defend. The moment you begin to challenge those things, you start to break through the invisible wall that's been keeping you in place. You realize that the old version of you, no matter how strong, confident, or experienced it seems, is not equipped to handle the next level. It's like trying to climb a mountain while carrying yesterday's baggage. Eventually, you'll tire out, not because you're weak, but because you haven't released what's no longer needed. The person you need to become next will demand things from you that the current you has never done before. It will require stronger habits, sharper focus, deeper patience, and greater faith. It will demand that you make decisions faster, take risks you once avoided, and walk away from people, places, and patterns that no longer align with your vision. And the reason this process feels so difficult is because your mind is fighting for control. It's attached to the version of you that feels familiar. It's afraid of losing the identity it has spent years building, even if that identity is limiting your growth. But there's a moment in every person's life when they realize that staying the same is more painful than changing. When you reach that point, you stop defending your limitations. You stop arguing for your comfort zone. You start seeking truth instead of validation. You begin to look at yourself with honesty and ask, what part of me is no longer serving the life I want? That question alone can open the door to transformation, because awareness always comes before change. When you recognize that your current self has reached its limit, you begin to detach from it. You stop identifying with the thoughts that hold you back. You start observing them instead of obeying them. You begin to design your new identity intentionally. You adopt new habits that match the results you want. You create routines that align with your future, not your past. You begin to act as if you are already the person you wish to become. This is how evolution begins, not in a single moment of inspiration, but in the daily decision to stop being who you were. The person you are now may be intelligent, hardworking, and determined, but those qualities alone aren't enough if they're confined by old patterns. The new you requires more depth, more vision, more courage. You can't reach new heights while staying bound to the gravity of old behaviors. You must shed your past identity like a skin that no longer fits. You must allow yourself to be uncomfortable in the transition, because that discomfort is the proof that you're expanding beyond your limits. Every time you challenge an old belief, you grow. Every time you reject an excuse, you rise. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you become the kind of person who can handle a greater level of life. The current version of you is enough to survive. The next version of you will be required to thrive. Comfort is the enemy of change. It's the silent force that convinces you everything is fine when deep down you know it's not. Comfort whispers that you've done enough, that you've earned the right to slow down, that tomorrow is a better day to start. It makes you feel safe, satisfied, and still, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Nothing grows in comfort. Nothing evolves in ease. Every great achievement, every transformation, every breakthrough has come from someone who was willing to be uncomfortable long enough to rise beyond what was familiar. The problem is that comfort feels good. It gives the illusion of peace while secretly stealing your potential. It tells you that risk is dangerous, that failure means you're not ready, that the unknown should be avoided. But in truth, comfort is a cage disguised as security. You sit inside it, decorating the walls, convincing yourself that you're free because the door is open. Yet you never step out. You stay where it feels easy, predictable, and safe, forgetting that everything extraordinary lies just beyond that invisible line. Most people spend their lives trapped in that comfort zone. They repeat the same routines, talk about the same dreams, make the same excuses, and wonder why nothing changes. They confuse motion with progress, working hard but never moving forward. They tell themselves they're preparing, learning, waiting for the right moment. But what they're really doing is protecting themselves from the discomfort of growth. Because growth hurts. It challenges your mind, breaks your patterns, and exposes your weaknesses. But it's also the only thing that makes you stronger. The moment you decide to grow, life begins to test your commitment. You'll face resistance, both from within and from the world around you. Your mind will try to pull you back into comfort. It will tell you that you're not ready, that you're not qualified, that it's too hard or too late. That's the voice of the old self trying to survive. It thrives in the familiar, and when you step beyond it, it starts to panic. That's why change feels painful. It's not just about building something new. It's about dismantling what's been comfortable for so long. But on the other side of discomfort lies everything you've ever wanted. Every skill, every breakthrough, every level of success begins with a decision to be uncomfortable. The gym feels painful before the strength shows. The early mornings feel exhausting before the discipline forms. The first attempts feel awkward before the confidence grows. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that you're expanding beyond your limits. It's the proof that you're no longer the same. Comfort and growth cannot coexist. One will always destroy the other. If you choose comfort, you'll sacrifice your potential. If you choose growth, you'll sacrifice your comfort. But the difference is that growth rewards you with freedom. Freedom from fear, from regret, from mediocrity. Comfort rewards you only with temporary relief. And that relief always fades, leaving behind the quiet ache of unfulfilled potential. Every time you resist discomfort, you stay stuck in the same cycle. Every time you step into it, you evolve. That's the law of progress. The more you chase comfort, the weaker your will becomes. The more you chase discomfort, the stronger your character grows. Comfort makes you soft, predictable, and stagnant. Discomfort shapes you into someone who can handle pressure, adapt to change, and command your own destiny. So the question isn't whether you want to grow, it's whether you're willing to be uncomfortable long enough to earn that growth. It's easy to dream of a better life, but it takes courage to do what's required to build it. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you break the illusion of limitation. You begin to see that fear is just a boundary waiting to be crossed. You begin to trust yourself more deeply. You start becoming the person your comfort once protected you from discovering. Destruction precedes creation. Before something new can be built, something old must be broken. It's one of the unspoken truths of life that most people resist. We want growth without loss, change without discomfort, transformation without destruction. But every new beginning is born from the ashes of what once was. The person you are today must dissolve for the next version of you to emerge. The habits, beliefs, and patterns that define your present reality cannot exist in the world you want to create. They must crumble, and that process is never gentle. Destruction feels like chaos, but it's not. It's order in disguise. It's life clearing away what no longer serves your purpose. When the old structures of your mind start to collapse, it can feel painful and confusing. You begin to question everything. The things you once depended on stop working. The goals that once motivated you no longer excite you. The people who once felt essential start to drift away. It feels like loss, but it's not punishment, it's transformation. The soil must be turned before new seeds can grow. Most people avoid this phase. They run from it because destruction feels uncertain. It doesn't give you control. It doesn't give you clarity. It strips away the illusions that once made you feel secure. But what they don't realize is that without this period of dismantling, there can be no true creation. You can't build a stronger foundation on top of an old cracked one. You can't pour the future into a mind still filled with the past. The universe demands space, and destruction is how that space is made. Think of how nature renews itself. Forests burn to the ground not to end, but to begin again. The fire clears away what's dead, what's blocking the light, what's no longer capable of growth. After the smoke clears, life emerges stronger, richer, and more vibrant. The same law applies to you. When your old habits fall apart, when your old identity no longer fits, when your comfort zone starts to crumble, it's a sign that something greater is trying to take form within you. But you can't create and cling at the same time. You must let the old structures burn. The destruction phase tests your faith. It asks you to trust the process without evidence. It challenges your patience because creation doesn't happen instantly. You may not see results right away, but beneath the surface, something is shifting. Your mind is expanding, your spirit is strengthening, your future is being built in silence. The old you resists this because it thrives on control. It wants certainty. It wants to know how everything will unfold. But growth doesn't come with guarantees. It comes with surrender. This is why so many people remain stuck. They try to build a new life while keeping the old one alive. They want the rewards of transformation without paying the price of destruction. They want progress but refuse to let go of what holds them in place. The truth is, something has to give. If you want peace, you must destroy your attachment to chaos. If you want success, you must destroy your excuses. If you want freedom, you must destroy the fears that chain you to mediocrity. Destruction is not about loss, it's about release. It's about breaking down the false layers you've built to protect yourself. It's about stripping away the unnecessary until only what's real remains. The pain you feel in this process isn't punishment, it's purification. It's the clearing of space for something greater to be born. Just like a sculptor chips away stone to reveal the figure within, you must chip away the layers of your old self to reveal who you truly are. When you embrace destruction, you begin to see it for what it truly is, an act of creation in disguise. It's the bridge between who you were and who you're meant to become. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. Every collapse creates the ground for something higher to rise. The fire that once frightened you becomes the very force that forges your strength. And the moment you stop resisting the destruction, you allow life to rebuild you into something far greater than before. Identity shapes destiny. Everything you experience, achieve, and attract in life is a reflection of who you believe you are. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. Your outer world mirrors your inner world, and until you change your identity, your circumstances will always return to the same patterns. People chase new results with the same mindset, expecting transformation to come from effort alone, but effort without identity alignment always collapses. You can change your habits for a while, you can force yourself to act differently, but if you still see yourself as the same person deep down, you will always return to the level of your self-image. The mind operates according to belief, not desire. You may desire success, but if you still identify as someone who fails, procrastinates, or doubts their worth, you'll unconsciously create situations that confirm that identity. It's not sabotage, it's consistency. The human mind craves alignment between who you think you are and how you behave. When there's a conflict, the identity always wins. That's why true transformation doesn't start with goals, it starts with identity. You must decide who you are before you can live differently. Every identity is built through repetition. The thoughts you allow, the language you use, the actions you repeat, they all reinforce who you believe yourself to be. When you say, "I'm just not disciplined," or "I always mess things up," you're programming your mind to recreate that version of you over and over. Your words are commands. They tell your subconscious who to become. Most people never rise higher because their self-concept is chained to the past. They live inside a story written by their old self, and every attempt to grow is filtered through that narrative. To change your destiny, you must rewrite that story. You must stop seeing yourself as the person who can't and start seeing yourself as the person who does. Every great change in life begins with an identity shift. The person who quits smoking stops identifying as a smoker. The person who becomes fit starts identifying as an athlete. The person who builds wealth starts identifying as a creator of value. The behavior follows the identity. When you believe something new about yourself, your actions begin to align automatically. But this shift isn't instant. The old identity doesn't vanish quietly. It fights for survival. It will remind you of your past failures, your weaknesses, your old habits. It will whisper that you're pretending, that you're not ready, that you're not worthy. And every time you listen, you reinforce it. That's why self-awareness is crucial. You must catch those moments when the old identity tries to pull you back and replace them with the beliefs of the person you're becoming. It's not about lying to yourself, it's about choosing a higher truth. The truth that you can change, that you can grow, that you can redefine who you are. Your environment also plays a powerful role in shaping identity. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you engage in, the routines you maintain, they either reinforce your old self or support the creation of the new one. If you're surrounded by people who live in limitation, you'll unconsciously adapt to that frequency. If you spend time around people who think bigger, move faster, and believe deeper, you'll start mirroring their mindset. Identity is contagious. Choose your influences wisely, because they're not just shaping your behavior, they're shaping your future. Once your identity aligns with your goals, everything becomes easier. You no longer have to push yourself through resistance because your behavior now feels natural. The person who identifies as disciplined doesn't need motivation to work. They simply act in harmony with who they are. The person who identifies as confident doesn't need to fight fear. They simply live through courage. Identity eliminates friction. It allows success to flow because your mind, body, and actions are moving in the same direction. Every outcome in your life is a mirror of your inner self. If you want to change what you see, change the person standing behind the mirror. You can't escape your identity, but you can recreate it. You can choose to see yourself not as a product of your past, but as the architect of your future. The moment you shift from I want to I am, you stop chasing results and start embodying them. And when who you are matches what you desire, destiny has no choice but to follow. Every level of life demands a new version of you. The person you are today was built for the challenges you've already faced, not for the ones ahead. Every stage of growth requires evolution, and that means you must constantly outgrow who you were. The habits, mindset, and beliefs that once worked for you eventually become the very things that hold you back. What once helped you survive may now be limiting your rise. The same thoughts that kept you safe will start to keep you small. The same patterns that gave you progress in the past will eventually reach their limit. Life doesn't stop changing, and if you do, you'll feel stuck in a world that keeps moving forward. The truth is that growth never stops, but most people do. They reach a level of success, a level of comfort, and decide it's enough. They start protecting what they have instead of expanding who they are. But what they don't realize is that the moment you stop evolving, you begin to decline. Life doesn't reward stagnation. It rewards adaptation. Every new level of opportunity comes with its own set of challenges, and the version of you that's been shaped by old experiences won't be strong enough to face them. You'll have to think differently, act differently, and make decisions from a higher level of awareness. It's not about rejecting who you were, it's about refining it. You take the lessons, the discipline, the wisdom from your past, and you leave behind the fear, the hesitation, and the self-doubt. Every breakthrough you experience comes with a demand attached. The demand to become more, to see further, to rise higher. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are prepared to handle. And preparation isn't just about effort, it's about expansion. You must constantly ask yourself, what version of me does this next chapter require? Because that version already exists within you, waiting for the courage to emerge. Each new level will test your commitment to change. You'll be challenged to release parts of yourself that feel familiar, but no longer serve your purpose. You'll feel the pull of your old identity, trying to keep you grounded in what's comfortable. The ego hates growth because growth requires humility. It requires you to admit that what you know now isn't enough for where you're going. It requires you to become a student again, to face discomfort, to risk failure, and to walk into the unknown. But every time you surrender to that process, you gain power. You learn that the fear of becoming someone new is always smaller than the pain of staying the same. The higher you climb, the more disciplined you must become. What was once optional becomes necessary. The distractions you could afford at one level become destructive at the next. The tolerance for mediocrity that once went unnoticed will start costing you opportunities. Growth exposes what no longer fits. It shows you where you've been playing small, where you've been hiding behind old excuses, and where your mindset hasn't caught up with your potential. Each time you evolve, you create new standards that pull you forward, and those standards become the foundation of your next rise. It's easy to want the results of a higher level while still thinking like the lower one. Everyone wants success, but few want to become the kind of person success demands. Each level requires a new mentality, one that's sharper, more resilient, more focused, and more deliberate. You can't bring old habits into new environments and expect to thrive. You can't expect new blessings to stay if you meet them with the same old behavior. Growth is a process of constant rebirth. You are always shedding an older version of yourself to reveal a greater one. The people who rise the highest are the ones who refuse to stay the same. They are not attached to who they were last year, last month, or even yesterday. They understand that evolution is not an event. It's a lifestyle. They adapt faster than fear can stop them. They let go of what no longer fits, even when it hurts, because they know that holding on to the old version of themselves would mean letting go of their future. Every level demands a new version of you, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner life begins to open doors that were always waiting for the person you are becoming.